Welcome to another live episode of the Wisco Fanatics Show, where we discuss the Packers, Bucks, Brewers, Badgers football, and basketball from an optimistic perspective. Wisco Fanatics is brought to you by Cardboard Legacy, Wisconsin's most complete sports card shop. Buy, sell, grade, and consign all at their location in Oshkosh.
Welcome back. We're live on another Wisco Fanatics Friday night. We're very excited. We have Mike Spofford back with us. Real quick before we jump into talking about the Packers, we just want to say again, we are doing a live 50-50 raffle that's going to be announced on January 24th. Jake and I are going to the Senior Bowl in Alabama this year, so we are very excited. So we're just looking for people who watch the show to help us out a little bit with paying for the trip, and we appreciate anybody who participates and helps us out. So thank you for that, for anybody who's going to participate in that. Other than that, Mike, how you doing? Welcome back.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. How's everybody doing?
Well, I mean, you heard our news, so that's what we got going on.
Yeah, we're living good over here, man. I will be at the Packers-Bears game, thanks to you. Thank you again. So my son and I are going to be enjoying that on Sunday.
Awesome.
We have our first game for basketball season tomorrow, so hopefully I can get 2 W's this weekend, man. That'd be fantastic.
That sounds like a good plan. Sign me up for that. That sounds about right.
Hell yeah, man. Simon, how you doing, buddy? You're muted, so we're all doing better because we can't hear you, so that's good.
Smooth. All right, we'll give him a chance. Okay. So I'm going to say, because Bryant isn't here, I asked him if he had any questions that he would have wanted to ask you. So the thing that he wanted to ask was, how do you think Bears fans feel that Jordan Love in his first season as a full starter has eclipsed their franchise records?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of discussion about that. I mean, if you're a Bears fan, I think you're just kind of used to it, right? I mean, I think honestly what probably is more distressing as a Bears fan is that the Packers might have hit on a third consecutive, like really, really darn good quarterback. And you're going to have to face this guy twice a year for perhaps a really, really long time. The first time the Packers and Bears met week 1 this year, it was, the very start of things. We didn't know where things were going to go. Obviously, Jordan Love played well in that game. There were some games the Packers offense did not play well. Jordan Love did not play well. We have a much larger body of work now. And I'm sure, as you guys have discussed on the show and has been discussed a lot out there in the media, there's almost no question anymore that the Packers feel like they've found their guy. And I think, next spring when the deadline passes in terms of, redoing Jordan Love's contract again, I firmly believe the Packers are going to work out something long-term with Jordan Love, and he is going to be the guy in Green Bay for the foreseeable future.
Absolutely. Jake and I were just talking about that today. We broke down some plays, and it's like, I don't see how anybody at this point cannot think that he's the guy.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's been too much good out there to make you really question. And I think the fact that he's shown what he has shown in his first year as a starter, and that he hasn't hit his ceiling yet. We don't know what the ceiling is. It may not be as high as Aaron Rodgers or Brett Favre, and that's okay. But I don't think Jordan Love is as good as he's going to be in time. And if you have that belief in him, there's no reason not to make the commitment to him and then build around him moving forward.
100%.
So let me ask you this: who, between Justin Fields and Jordan Love, who do you think has more to gain and more to lose on Sunday?
Interesting question. I mean, I'll be honest. Like I'm just not buying into like the narratives that are out there that the whole decision on Justin Fields is going to hinge on this one game against the Green Bay Packers on Sunday. Like I'm sorry. I mean, if that's the way the Bears are going about it, then like I guess that's their prerogative. But
would it surprise you though?
I mean, to hinge a decision like that on one game, I mean, in that context, to answer your question, yes, I think Justin Fields certainly has more on the line than Jordan Love does. I mean, this is either a playoff berth for the Packers or not, but how the future looks for the Green Bay Packers is pretty clear whether or not the Packers win this game on Sunday. As far as the Bears are concerned, I mean, I did a podcast yesterday. I think it was launched today by one of the stations in Chicago. I talked with them yesterday, and they actually asked me my thoughts about Justin Fields, and I said, to me, if I'm the Bears, I guess call me crazy, but I don't think the framing of the question is, surrounded around Justin Fields. To me, it's about what kind of offense do you want to have? Do you want to have an offense where the quarterback is a big part of the running game, is, with designed runs, not just the scrambles and the improv and all that, but with designed runs, because that's what Justin Fields does. And the passing game is very complementary to that. Or do you want to have an offense that looks a little bit more like the rest of the NFC North, what the Lions are doing with Goff and what they might do with Hendon Hooker down the road, what the Vikings have done over the years with Cousins, what the Packers are building with Jordan Love, what I guess I would call more conventional or traditional NFL offense. If you want to be Lamar Jackson light, then go for it. Fine. Then that's your decision and you move forward with Justin Fields. If you want to be something different, then you start over and you don't try to make Justin Fields into somebody that he's not. And to me, the question for the Bears is, what do they want to be? Who do they want to be on offense? And if they answer that question, then the other question becomes easier to answer.
That's fair. And they might have to take a look at offensive coordinator regardless of what they do.
Yeah.
So Brad asked, what do the Packers offer Love on an extension? And what would you think maybe a framework for that would be?
You're asking the wrong guy on that. As far as the numbers go, like I honestly don't know. And they'll whatever they try to figure out, they'll want to structure it, in a way that that provides them the flexibility they want, in the early years as they continue to build. I mean, it's all going to be about, the long-term outlook of things. I mean, when you look at where the receiving core, the tight ends, everything is right now, there's a lot of young guys, and there are a lot of young guys that they're going to have to take care of a couple years down the road if they want to keep them in the fold. Where are things at running back? Hard to say. On the defensive side of the ball, there are certainly, a lot of veteran players there, but there's also some young talent, Quay Walker and Lucas Van Ness and guys like that I think they're going to build around on the defensive side of the ball. So it's all in terms of how that contract gets structured. I mean, it's all about where the rest of the team is and when they expect, some of those other contracts to come due and the guys that they want to keep in the fold long term.
So I'm curious because you mentioned the running back room. So what are your thoughts on Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon, who are both, potentially back, not back, up in the air, drafting a guy? I know we had this conversation last week, and a lot of people were talking about maybe Braylon Allen, things like that. Packers never seem to draft Wisconsin players, but Braylon Allen seems like a guy who could potentially fit really well, given a future need at running back, maybe beyond 2024.
Yeah, I mean, I think it starts with what they decide to do with Aaron Jones. Based on his salary for next year and whatnot. I mean, I don't know if I see him coming back at that number. Do they go to him and try to bring that number down a little bit? I mean, Aaron Jones is he's shown the last 2 weeks what he still brings to this offense, obviously when he's healthy, but you have to, if you want to bring him back, which I would think the Packers would want to bring him back, but given his injury history and the risk there and his age, I mean, you have to bring him back at a reasonable number. And then once you sort of get that sorted out, then I think the rest of it starts to fall into place as to whether AJ Dillon fits into the plans, whether you just go into the draft and, draft a couple guys and go young, who knows where things go with Emmanuel Wilson? This was a young guy, undrafted player, showed a heck of a lot in the preseason. And, I think the Packers think pretty highly of him, and it's possible we could see him get activated this weekend with A.J. Dillon being ruled out with the stinger. And we might see Wilson, back in action here before things are all said and done. So I guess I would say to me, the running back picture is not very clear moving forward. There are certainly some things to sort out, but the Packers have plenty of options. They have different ways that they can go about this. But I think it starts with the decision on Aaron Jones, and then the rest of the dominoes kind of fall from there.
And we've mentioned this too. I've mentioned it more to the guys in the group chat that we're in, but the Packers have picks. They could make a trade too if they wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you've got what is it right now? Five picks in the first 3 rounds.
5 picks in the top 100.
Yeah. When you've got 5 picks in the first three rounds, you're going to have some flexibility to either move around on the board to get where you want to draft certain guys, or to use some of those picks as assets for other types of moves too. So as I said, I think Brian Gutekunst has set himself up to have a lot of options and a lot of different avenues, he can go down moving forward. And regardless of what happens on Sunday, the biggest question for every football team that's out there in my opinion, has been answered for the Packers. They have their guy under center, and now you go from there.
Yeah, should be illegal that the Packers have 3 straight good quarterbacks, I say. But haha to the Chicago Bears. So here's something that we've been talking about. Packers fans have been talking about the last couple of weeks. Something that happened after the Buccaneers game was an interview with Devondre Campbell, right? And brought up a lot of controversy, but just wanted to get your opinions on what he said after that game.
Yeah, obviously after that Tampa Bay game, everybody on the defense was taking a lot of heat for what happened there, and it was as bad a day at the office as it gets, right? We all saw it. There's no 2 ways about it. Personally, I think some of the stuff that I saw on social media and the clips that people were posting and everything like that, I thought Devondre Campbell was very unfairly singled out for having a rough game. And, my perspective, my advice to NFL players is, man, after a bad game, just stay off social media. Like, it is not a place that you want to go. Yeah. I don't know this for certain, and Devondre Campbell, he keeps things, kind of close to the vest. He doesn't really talk a whole lot, and that's his right. I think his response a lot was to the criticism he was receiving from the outside, not so much anything that was going on internally. I don't know that for a fact, but that's just what I surmise. Yeah. And yeah, I don't think a lot of people on the outside knew, how much he was hurting, how much he was, playing hurt. And hopefully, the fact that he was able to take these last 2 weeks off, now he is, he's actually off the injury report entirely from the final injury report that came out earlier today. Mm-hmm. And obviously they need him, with Isaiah McDuffie getting, going into concussion protocol after the game against Minnesota. So hopefully, the couple weeks off did Devondre Campbell some good. And, it's unfortunate that it came to that. But again, like, I guess to me, I'm not a big social media guy anyway. If you guys, follow me on Twitter or whatever, like, I think I have probably the least amount of followers by a long shot of any Packers beat reporter. And quite frankly, I don't care. I almost wear it as a badge of honor that of all the Packers beat reporters, like, I have the fewest number of followers. So, cause it just doesn't, it's just not my thing, and that's okay. And for those that it is their thing, more power to you. But if I were a professional athlete, in this day and age, the last place I would go after a bad game for my team or for me individually, whatever, would be social media. And I think to do that is just inviting way too much negativity into your world.
Yeah, well, that's something we're working on. Like we recognize that, and it's unfortunate because it is a reality that
Yep.
social media, when outcomes aren't what people expect or what they want, that it just becomes it's like you said, it's just inviting a world of negativity.
Yeah, I mean, and anybody who thinks that Baker Mayfield's 158.3 was because of one player, doesn't know anything about football. I mean, I'm sorry, there is nobody on that Packers defense, maybe with the exception of Kenny Clark that day, who could have walked off that field and felt that they had anything, that they had any kind of a positive impact on that game. I mean, that was a bad day at the office for the entire defense. Everybody has to take ownership of it. And, in our society, of course, it's all about trying to point fingers, trying to find who's the most to blame. Yep. Or, if this had changed or if this guy had done this, I mean, when things go that south for a team, for a unit, to try to start pointing fingers is kind of ludicrous, frankly.
It's something that I've called it the scapegoat mentality for large parts of this season. People just want to be like, well, if it wasn't for this one thing, we would have won this game.
Right.
People want to feel closer to the outcome having gone in the other direction. But it's
I got to say one thing real quick. Can we stop? Okay, Devondre Campbell, he was part of a defense that played bad that day. I can't believe people were saying stuff to his wife. Can we leave the family members out of it, dude? That's ridiculous. Why? I've never understood that.
The thing that bothers me about it is that we are Packers fans.
Yeah.
So we are part of this fan base. Yep. And then when people represent us really poorly, that reflects on the whole group.
Yep.
Oh. And it's that's bad for all of us when people act like that. And that's something that we are trying to get people to kind of be on board with is hey, when you act like a shitty person, that reflects back on all of us.
Right.
That's how people feel about Philly and Boston and LA fans. They have a reputation of being bad people.
Right.
We don't want that.
No.
Jake and I talked about this on Wednesday with the Bucks. We have to have intangible things that make people want to come here because the weather's not great. Because we might not be for some sports, we might not be able to offer as much money as other people. We have to have reasons for people to want to come here, and people is always going to be one of them.
Yeah, I agree. I agree entirely. I don't understand. I don't understand the mentality of trying to make other people's lives miserable for some reason. You need company in your misery for some reason. I mean, I don't get that, and I don't pay it much attention, quite frankly.
No, it's ridiculous.
I think one of the things that can you guys hear me now, by the way?
Yep.
Okay, cool. I think one of the things that I've been trying to really push a narrative on is people not understanding that they don't know everything that goes on. So going back to the Devondre Campbell tweet, who knows what that was aimed at, but everyone's like, oh, Matt LaFleur is losing the locker room. Matt LaFleur is losing the locker room. It's you don't know that. And my first thought was he's probably talking about the fan base because that's what we do. But
I
with
think
an actual
people double down on the locker room thing, just on that thing specifically, where it's you can literally see videos from the locker room, and then people are oh, they're only showing you what they want you to see. What? Anyways, yeah, go ahead.
But to an actual question, I think another player that kind of falls on that Aaron Jones realm is Preston Smith. And he's getting a little older, but he's been a really steady player for us since he's joined us from Washington. What did I say?
Tyler and I had this conversation. I called him old earlier, and he's literally the same age as me.
Preston Smith older this morning, and then this afternoon, and realized that he's older than our age.
I was like, oh, shit, we're the same age.
But I think he kind of falls in that territory. I was wondering if you had any insight on how maybe the Packers feel kind of in the same boat as Aaron Jones.
Yeah, I mean, I would say yes and no. I mean, there are some similarities there, but but the position that he plays, and I'm not comparing Preston Smith to, a Hall of Famer like Von Miller, but there are guys at edge rusher, at a defensive end edge rusher type position in this league who they can be pretty effective for a while, later into their careers, more so than at running back. And what Preston Smith has done this year, I think I said this in our Insider Inbox column either today or another day this week. I mean, somebody had asked me who's the defensive MVP for this team in 2023. And I just said, well, I'm a big fan of reliability and consistency, and then being able to make those, high impact plays every once in a while. And so for me, that's a toss up between Kenny Clark and Preston Smith on this 2023 Packers defense. Those guys are always out there. They are as reliable as it gets. They are assignment sound players. And Kenny Clark has a, career high 6.5 sacks, and Preston Smith is at, what is he at? Like 8.5, 8.5 sacks. And a couple of those are strip sacks, with getting the ball out. Obviously, last week being a big one. And, so, I mean, I think there's absolutely a place on this defense for Preston Smith moving forward. Again, the finances, the contract numbers, the cap numbers, all that, they'll work all that out. But what Preston Smith has done for this team and for this defense, I personally don't think he's done yet.
I like it. Okay, so it's pretty much like a foregone conclusion at this point that the Packers are going to have a new defensive coordinator next year. I know Bill Huber even asked, somebody asked Bill Huber, and he responded to the question that people asked him if they get the sense that Joe Barry understands that he's not going to be back next year. And even Bill Huber answered in the affirmative. So is it something that, obviously the Packers played really good defense last week, and we made a post about it, and we were right up front, we understand that this isn't going to save his job over the last 2 weeks.
Right.
But as far as next year, and we'd love to have you on if we do a full episode about it, but what are some things that maybe you're looking for from a defensive coordinator, maybe scheme wise or personality wise, that you would like to see from 2024?
Yeah. I mean, I think the question that Matt LaFleur will have to answer moving forward is what kind of, and I don't mean it's necessarily scheme, but almost even more of, I guess, just overall approach, mentality, big picture thinking, what kind of a defense do you want to have? And I think, and this is just my opinion, but I think, from what I've seen over the years with the Packers and what I've seen, in watching other teams, I think there are defenses out there that very much have an attack and set the tone and try to dictate to the offense as much as possible type of mentality. And there are other defenses that are more reactive. We're going to, try to prepare for all the possibilities, react to what they're going to do, et cetera. I think those are sort of the big picture, approaches of how to do things. And I think when you're talking about the first one, you're talking about that attack mentality and being very aggressive. I think it's a lot easier with a group of players, with a group of professional athletes, to have that mentality, and then at certain times and in certain situations, you want to dial it back a little bit, as opposed to having the other approach and the other mentality, and then at times saying, okay, now we're going to crank it up and now we're going to go forward. So I think that's what Matt LaFleur has to weigh. And I just don't know over the long haul if trying to flip the switch to the aggressive attack mentality when that's not really your overarching philosophy defensively, I just don't know if over the long haul that's going to work. It may work here and there, and we've certainly seen the Packers play some pretty darn good defense at times over the last couple of years, but as I said to you, I think I've said it on this show when I've been on it before, and I've said it in several forums on our website. The biggest problem, the overarching problem with this Packers defense over the last couple of years is it has been wildly inconsistent. You see really, really good defense, and then you just see just really, really bad games and bad performances. And that type of roller coaster, the ups and the downs and the inconsistency, that's just you can't continue to play that way. So that's where I feel something has to change. And if you're going to make a change, then you have to decide philosophically what is going to be your approach and mentality in terms of the, I guess, the overarching idea, and then making adjustments from there.
So if you're Brian Gutekunst and Matt LaFleur, how wide of a net do you cast for your potential new coordinator?
That's a really good question. I mean, I think you cast as wide a net as you possibly can. I mean, you've got Kenny Clark and Rashawn Gary and Preston Smith and Lucas Van Ness and even smaller guys in terms of maybe their roles, but like TJ Slayton. And I mean, you've got a lot of guys on this defense that I would think a lot of defensive coordinators out there would look at the Green Bay Packers job as defensive coordinator, with Jordan Love being the quarterback on the other side. This is going to be an extremely attractive job, in my opinion. And so I wouldn't narrow the focus too much in terms of what you're looking for. Throw the net out there and see what you might be able to catch. And you may have some ideas going in, of course, as to what you're looking for. But by the same token, you never know, right? So I think the job is going to be extremely attractive based on the team the Packers are building and the talent that they have on the defensive side. So don't close any doors prematurely.
I think fans have two names penciled in already, and the two that pop up the most consistently are Al Harris and Jim Leonard.
Sure. Yeah, and I mean, I have no idea. I know Al because I covered a good portion of his career with the Packers, and I'm assuming that based on where he's going in his coaching career, that he'd like to be, a defensive coordinator someday. But, is Al Harris ready to be a defensive coordinator? I don't know the answer to that question. I don't think anybody knows the answer to that question until you, as the decision maker, you sit down and talk to him and find out, like, okay, what kind of plans do you have? How would you go about implementing, your scheme and what do you want to play? And how would you go about things? And, that's what the interview process is all about, particularly with regard to guys who haven't been defensive coordinators before, because they're going to have to sell themselves, to somebody like Matt LaFleur as to how they're going to go about it and how they're going to build a defense. Because let's face it, Matt LaFleur, he doesn't want to have to worry about the defense. He is focused on the offense and making Jordan Love the next Hall of Fame quarterback of the Green Bay Packers, right? Like, that's where he wants to devote as much energy as possible. And he's going to want somebody that he can turn the defense over to him. And yes, he's going to be involved to a certain extent, but he's not going to want to worry about the defense on a day-to-day basis. That's what Matt LaFleur wants. That's the structure that he's going to want with this team, in my opinion. So, I think he was reluctant when he hired Joe Barry. He was reluctant to hire somebody who had not been a defensive coordinator in the NFL before. I think Joe Barry's experience as a defensive coordinator in the NFL was in large part what got him the job based on the candidates that were available to him at the time. Yeah. We'll see if he changes his thought process on that. Obviously, a lot of those types of candidates over the last 3 years have gotten defensive coordinator jobs, and they're at a different level of experience in their careers now as well. So where it goes from here, we'll have to see. But I do think the job is going to be as attractive as any out there for a DC.
Yeah, that's a good point. I know a lot of people would take the perspective of, well, the Packers defense sucks. Who would want to coach it? But yeah, when you bring up the young talent and especially the talent on the other side of the ball,
Yeah.
Well, they have 8 first-round picks. Like, what are we talking about right now? They might do another first-round pick. They might draft a corner. We don't know.
No, I mean, there's the Packers still, they have some holes on their defense. There are going to be some decisions made in the offseason. That's just, the nature of the business in this league. But you look at the guys that are under contract long term and for sure are coming back. You've got a heck of a nucleus there on defense that I think any defensive coordinator candidate is going to look at and go, yeah, I can work with that. And there's a personnel department. There's a personnel department in Green Bay that's going to continue to work to try to get the guys that you want to have.
For sure. So we want to ask last thing before we let you off the hook.
All right.
Has Jordan Love met your expectations from the beginning of the year? I know we asked you, and you gave a fantastic 6-page essay on what you're looking for from Jordan Love at the beginning of the season. But has he met your expectations and shown you what you were looking for from him?
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. I mean, I would say even to a certain extent, I think he's surpassed them in the sense that over the second half of this season, as he's really settled in and continued to grow and shown the type of quarterback that he's going to be, he's been able to make it work out there with whoever's out there in the supporting cast. I mean, with the injuries that have gone on at tight end, at receiver, at running back, those injuries and those personnel situations were a much bigger factor earlier in the season than they've been late in the season. And I think that shows the growth and maturity in a fairly short amount of time from Jordan Love at quarterback. I mean, the fact that he could go into a must-win game in Minnesota, in that noisy US Bank Stadium in Week 17, prime time and all that, and he's missing Christian Watson, Dontavian Wicks, Luke Musgrave. He loses Jaden Reed at halftime. And, and the Packers were never threatened in that game. I mean, he puts up 30-plus points. Like, Bo Melton has a huge game, and Malik Heath makes a couple of key catches. And, in his first year as a starter, making it work with whoever's out there, I think that speaks volumes about where Jordan Love is headed as a quarterback.
Not even just in the pass catching group, but in obviously the running backs and the offensive line.
Yeah.
How much shifting there's been going on there. So
yeah, and what was going on up front was obviously a bigger factor earlier in the season. You lose David Bakhtiari after week 1. Rasheed Walker gets thrown in there. He's got to get settled in and get some things figured out. And Zach Tom is a second-year player over there at right tackle. Elton Jenkins was not entirely healthy in the early portion of the season either. And he's, Elton is still battling through stuff. And again, he got rolled up on last week in Minnesota. And I'm guessing he's going to try to gut it out on Sunday with, the playoff berth on the line. He's going to be in there at left guard. And so there have been, there's been a lot with that going on as well. And as the season has gone along, those things have been less and less a factor. And that's a credit to all the young players and the growth that they've shown, but it's also a credit to Jordan Love in that he just doesn't flinch. Like it doesn't matter to him who's out there. He's going to believe in the guys that he's got, and he's going to give them a chance to make plays. And they're going to take their chances, and he's good with rolling with that.
Reggie just said that he was saying that he was snubbed on the Pro Bowl, which I agree with that part. He said he should be a thought for MVP, not saying that he should win, but to be in the topic of conversation would be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I think MVP is a bit much when when you look at you have to look at the whole body of work, and there were some rough games. There's no two ways about that. And but for me, as far as the Pro Bowl, Jordan Love should have at least been on the alternate list at quarterback in the NFC. Yep. I mean, for him not to even get alternate recognition for Pro Bowl, I think is is really unfortunate. But, as I've said in a couple other forums this week, I mean, it just goes to show that what happens in the first half of a season has way bigger impact on the Pro Bowl and that kind of stuff than what happens in the second half of the season, because halfway through the season, nobody would have said Jordan Love's a Pro Bowl quarterback. The second half of the season, he's playing a lot better than a lot of guys out there. But
the second half is almost where the MVP part could come in, but then you have to add in the first half.
Right, exactly. And it's about the, it's about the whole body of work and the consistency over time. I think, but do I think down the road, maybe even as soon as next year, with where this Packers offense is Jordan Love going to be in, Pro Bowl and maybe even MVP conversations? Absolutely. 100%. I think he's potentially headed in that direction. And he's got a lot of young guys around him, just like him, who are nowhere near where they might end up in terms of their level of play and where their careers are headed. And it's pretty exciting to see what might happen down the road. But right now, I'd like to see a win against the Chicago Bears and let these Green Bay Packers of 2023/24 play at least one more game.
Absolutely. Can we get a head and heart score prediction before you go?
Oh, that's right. You guys do that head and heart thing. Okay.
Yep, that's us.
Yeah. All right. My head says the Packers win this game 24-20. My heart says the Packers win this game 27-10.
Oh my.
I like it. I
like the second one way better.
All right, Mike, we appreciate you hopping on with us for a little while. We would love to have you back in the off season. There's tons of conversations and topics we'd love to have your insight and thoughts on. So we'd love to have you back, and I'm sure we will if you're willing to hop back on with us, and have a good rest of your night and weekend and get a W on Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't hesitate to reach out, guys. I'm around. I'd be happy to hop back on. Always enjoy talking to you. You guys have a good weekend.
Enjoy your weekend.
Yeah, I always enjoy having Mike Spofford on. It's like he's like, I'm not big on social media. It's like, I know like a local podcast I would love to have you on all the time.
Right.
I jokingly told Bryant, I'm like, Brian said he told us this afternoon that he's got like hockey tickets and stuff. And it's like, oh yeah, that's right. I'm like, well, Spofford's coming on. He could just replace you permanently. If he's not busy, I don't know. He works for the Packers. I don't know how important that is, but
yeah.
All right. So we're going to jump in real quick. We're going to run through our stars of the game. Bryant had the number one star on each side of the ball. For offense, I'm gonna leave out the second part of it. For offense, he wrote Jordan Big D Love. He said, what else is there to say? It's not a fluke at this point. Another 3 touchdown, no interception game, and then a 6 touchdown run where he just wanted it more than anyone else. And on the defensive side of the ball, he said Nissan Nixon. So throwback to some tongue tie that he had earlier in the season. 11 tackles, half a sack, and a pass defense. Overall, just a good defensive side of the ball performance. For me on the offensive side of the ball, Aaron Jones, 21 touches, 130 yards. And then Preston Smith on the defensive side of the ball. He had the strip sack, which was a huge part of that game, able to get the Packers another 7 points before halftime. So Jake has the number 3, and then Simon has the underrated performers.
So for number 3 star, went with Jaden Reed. In one half of football, he had 6 receptions, 89 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Also heard that he got hurt on that punt return. They didn't call a flag on, so that sucks, and I hope that's looked into. But he played great, and it looks like he's going to be back for Sunday. So, and the 3rd star on defense was Corey, Justin Jefferson's new dad, Ballantyne. 5 tackles, 3 passes defense, and 1 interception. Honestly, he held his own against Justin Jefferson. And Jefferson.
You want to do it now, or do you want to do it in the secondary part? Because I have highlights.
Stood in the secondary part. Gotcha. But I just want to say that Jefferson's a very creative route runner. That's kind of what makes him a little bit unique. On top of his jump ball ability and good hands. So Ballantyne did a really good job against him.
Yeah, Reggie, we had so many guys that we wanted to put in the conversation that we just decided to do 3 on offense and 3 on defense. So that's why we all have 2. So, Simon, you're up.
Yep. I got offensive underrated performers Bo Melton, 6 for 8 receptions, 105 yards and a touchdown, and all 6 of his receptions went for a first down or a touchdown.
Nice. Love that.
And then
first 100-yard receiver of the season.
Oh yeah, first one. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. First 100 yards
Sean Clifford
season. Yeah.
We didn't even ask Spofford about Sean Clifford.
Dang it. Dang it. You know how many people got mad at me for saying start Sean?
I know. I saw that.
I was rolling, dude. People took that so seriously.
That's awesome.
For defense, I had Quay Walker, 2 pressures, a sack, 5 total tackles, and 1 stop. He was kind of all over the place.
Yeah, good call. So looking at the wide receiver development, jumping into the offense, covering for Bryant. So I'm reading Bryant's notes that he sent over. He said Jordan Reed. He's got to work on that. I think he meant Jaden Reed. Jordan Reed is a former tight end from the Washington football team. He said Jaden Reed would have been the first over 100 if it wasn't for the injury, and congrats to him for breaking the rookie receiving record. Great job by Bo Melton stepping in to help with the loss of Reed and keep the offense humming. Dobbs didn't have a huge game, but he has been the most consistent receiver health-wise throughout the year. I think Malik Heath still brings a lot, and even when he has quiet games, he contributes. For Toure, he said, I feel bad he got hurt, but I think he has way more for them to stash him instead of releasing him. So, I mean, that's fair. And I think putting him on injured reserve does give the Packers an offseason to figure that out versus just outright releasing him. So the Packers will be able to see, what they can do with Samori Toure in the offseason. But Bo Melton has absolutely earned the roster spot that he's got. So good for him. Darian said Aaron Jones, Jaden Reed, and Bo Melton for the offense. Can't leave out Jordan Love, though.
Yeah, it's tough.
Love was cooking.
And then I had to bring up this stat. So this came from Dylan Powell on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. Rookie wide receivers from the last 8 years who had 50-plus targets and averaged over 2 yards per route run. So I'm just going to go since 2020. In 2020, Justin Jefferson was the only one. 2021, Jamar Chase and Kadarius Toney. In 2022, Drake London, Chris Olave, and Christian Watson. And 2023, Puka Nacua, Rashee Rice, Tank Dell, and Dontavian Wicks. People need to put some respect on Goody. He's killing his drafts. He absolutely is killing the drafts over the last 3 years.
True.
So looking at, for me, rookie tight ends, Tucker Kraft, he was 6 catches on 6 targets for 48 yards. And we also have this little beauty of a clip.
Sorry, bounces the dude off of the...
No.
Oh, this one,
is putting Daniil Hunter on his ass.
Do you have the clip of him putting Harrison Smith on his ass?
I don't think I do.
I can't remember if it was earlier or later in the game, but they do an inside run, and he's blocking Harrison Smith on the outside, and he just puts him on his ass at the end of the play.
Damn. I wish I would have had that one. But yes, if you follow us on any of our social medias, you can see I cut the audio of the guy saying, he just dribbled this man from the stiff arm that he had, because that dude bounced hard.
Dude, I couldn't believe that. I couldn't believe that shit. I was like, what?
That dude bounced.
You think Tucker Kraft learned that maybe stiff arming over hurdling the guy is a much better idea?
Hey, I mean, having both in your bag, I'm not against it.
True.
As for Ben Sims, 1 catch on 1 target. He graded as a good blocker, and the tape backs it up. That's pretty much all I have to say on Ben Sims. I'd be comfortable not feeling the need to draft a tight end before the 4th round.
I'm with it.
Obviously, I'm less interested in bringing Josiah DeGuara back than I am about potentially drafting a new tight end. I think that's where I'd rather go if you're looking at a guy who's going to play a smaller role. Tucker Kraft has been since like week 6 out snapping Josiah DeGuara, and obviously is a more involved player blocking and passing. And at this point, Ben Sims, I think I'd rather just find out what he's capable of over keeping Josiah DeGuara for a second contract.
And Musgrave's coming back too.
And Musgrave's obviously going to be back too. So I mean, if you're looking at a guy who's going to play like a blocking tight end / fullback role, I'd rather just draft somebody.
They have that kid out of North Dakota State or whatever. I forget his name on the roster. I think he played 1 week.
Talk about Henry
Pearson. His name. Yeah, Henry Pearson. That's it.
Yeah, he's more of a fullback than a tight end, but yeah. Yeah, if you want to have a tight end / fullback role, but yeah, otherwise if you want to keep Henry Pearson, I'm fine with that too. On the passing game distribution, 8 players were targeted, 8 players had receptions. Jaden Reed had 6 catches on 8. Bo Melton had 6 catches on 8, and Tucker Kraft had 6 catches on 6. The Packers had at least 3 players have 4 or more receptions in 8 of the last 10, including 7 in a row.
Hell yeah.
Adarian said, I always felt Tucker Kraft had the potential to be a star in this league, and he's proved it with the role he's got. Let me just say this. I plan on saying this with Tucker Kraft as well. He's broken the third-round curse. The third-round curse is done. Tucker Kraft has broken it.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome how seamless the transition after Musgrave got hurt and Tucker Kraft started filling that role.
Yeah,
it's like there's not much of a difference.
Absolutely. He got forced into more passing game work, and he's absolutely taking the bull by the horns. Not to mention that dude's quotes, all fire.
Dude.
All of his quotes.
Yeah, the dude's a fucking poet. I love his tweets. I'm like so excited for his tweets before and after the game, dude. It's amazing.
I hope we get to interview him someday because he sounds like he could be a lot of
We
fun
should just make a thread of all his greatest tweets, dude. We should
do that. We should do that. Write that down.
Okay.
Write that down.
Okay, so this is a situation where the passing game distribution, and I've said this before, I think this is my favorite part of the season because there are still 0 games where Jordan Love has targeted fewer than 7 players, and his top wide receiver has 681 yards. Jordan Love is just spreading that ball out everywhere. I love it. And there were 2 drops in this game, but from the from behind the line of scrimmage, Love was 4 for 4. From 0 to 9, he was 14 of 15. From 10 to 19, he was 4 for 8, and from 20 plus, he was 2 for 5. All of those are high rating completion percentages. So, I mean, the passing game distribution just fantastic. So, Simon, how do you feel about the O-line?
Great. Good game from the O-line. They were blitzed on 76% of the plays. They allowed 0 sacks. And the offensive line allowed – by the way, I called that one, the 0 sacks. The offensive line allowed 0 hits and a total of 13 total pressures. The 2 hits were allowed by A.J. Dillon and Tucker Kraft. Also, I want to, because we've been kind of crapping on him a little bit, Josh Myers, I thought, even though his blocking isn't there, the way he communicates and sets the pass protection for the O-line this week, I thought I did a really good job this week. It kind of goes unnoticed.
That's fair. That's a good call out. Darian said another player who can break the third-round curse is Sean Ryan, making the most of his chances on the O-line, trading snaps with John Runyon Jr. It's beneficial because John Runyon Jr. is another guy who's a free agent at the end of the year. So seeing what you're getting from Sean Ryan without having to wait until the offseason to do it, I think is actually just sets up the Packers to have another one of their questions for 2024 answered already with the 2023 season.
Dude, how brilliant is that from a coaching perspective, though?
Hell yeah.
Fucking A, dude. That's not going to get enough credit, but if they get out of this season and they figure, okay, we have our quarterback, we have this, and we also have our right guard. Like, dude, that already just the trajectory of this team is just insane.
That's another question you have answered before the draft, and that allows you to just be more fluid with best players available.
We just lost 2 Hall of Famers, and now we just look like the best young team in the league.
Settle down.
It's unfair. I know why people hate us, dude. I get it.
I got it. All right. So Bryant's notes on the running game. He said another huge game from Aaron, and and as Collinsworth said, it just feels different when he hits the hole. Yep, Collinsworth did say that.
Classic.
20 carries for 120 yards against a team that was supposed to give us trouble running the ball. Rushing for 177 yards total against that team, and a touchdown was huge, keeping the offense balanced. Jones has been injured, but because of that, he seems super fresh and has now gone for over 122 games in a row. That's a great
over 6 yards per carry in each game too.
Yeah, I'll take that all day. Chris said stats. That's what he comes here for. He just pops in for stats.
He does. He likes the numbers. He's the numbers guy.
All right, Jake. Red zone offense.
Red zone offense. All right. Well, in the red zone, first play was 1st and 10 at the 18. Dylan ran for 2 yards. 2nd and 8 at the 16. Love incomplete to Melton. 3rd and 8 from the 16. Love incomplete to Heath, and we got a field goal on the first one. So then we get to the second drive that got into the red zone. Jones, 1st and 10 at the 16. He ran for 10 yards. There was a penalty on the defense, illegal use of hands. So set us to the 3-yard line. Dylan ran for 1 yard, and then Jordan Love just nosedives over a player, reaches, use every inch of 6'4" frame, and scores a touchdown. Then we get to the third drive. Dude, I called this drive. They had a long 7-minute and 30-second drive. I said, all right, let's go on one of our own then. 13 plays, 90 yards, 8 minutes. Fucking mama the mia. You know what I'm saying? Holy hell, dude. That was a fucking thing of beauty. But we get into the red zone, 1st and 10 at the 18. Love finds Sims. The Vikings literally paid for us to have a 6-yard pass completion in the red zone, so thank you for that. Jones runs for 3 on 2nd and 4 from the 12. And we have 3rd and 9. Love finds a wide open Bo Melton in the end zone, and everybody in Packers Nation is just so excited for that kid, right? You know, he makes up for the early drop in the game, gets a big-time touchdown. That kind of blew the thing wide open. And then we get to the third drive that get into the red zone. 1st and 10 at the 19. Taylor runs for 1 yard. 2nd and 9 from the 18. Taylor runs for 6. 3rd and 3 at the 12. Torrey, they threw a pass to him. That play was the kind of the broken play. It went for -6 yards. They were just trying to run some clock, in my opinion, but the Packers settled for a field goal.
That play with Toure, you either need to let that ball go or stay in bounds.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And even on the the let it go, to quote Elsa, but just catch the ball and stay in bounds. If you can't catch the ball and stay in bounds, then let it go. Don't catch it 6 yards behind the line of scrimmage and then go out of bounds.
Yeah.
That's a
teachable moment.
Absolutely. That's a good way to say it. Okay. 3rd down offense was pretty good. I mean, there's really no other way to slice it. The Packers overall 9 of 16. No, 9 of 14. Sorry, I can't read. 9 of 14 on 3rd downs. In the first half, they were 3 for 7. Their average 3rd down distance was 3.4 yards. In the second half, 6 for 7, 3.9 yards was the average. In the first half, Jordan Love was 2 for 5, which, not great. But in the second half, he was 4 for 4 with a touchdown. So Jordan Love and the Packers offense, fantastic on 3rd downs, especially in the second half. So Bryant's notes on the special teams to transition from the offense to the defense. Bryant said, pretty much a mess again. Not great that Carlson has 5 missed extra points, which is at least 2 more than any kicker in the NFL. To put this here, one of them was blocked. One of them was a bad snap that threw off timing. I'll say that. He said it's clear we will have competition in camp, but it's not time to give up on him by any means. And my thing with this was, with Anders Carlson, just like any of the other rookies, we expect them to get better.
True.
Bryant said he hit his short field goal, so that is good, but hopefully he can have a clean game on Sunday. He said Waylon looked good on his 2 punts, averaging 49.5 yards, and kick coverage did a decent job besides the one return against a really good returner. One real head scratcher is why is Toure back there returning punts when Nixon is healthy? My only thought with this, and I have the same question. I think even if Reed and Nixon are playing their first team roles, which Nixon was, that's the only reason I can think to not have him back there, is because you can't afford to lose another corner.
I read that Toure was a really good punt returner in college. I don't remember that.
He was, and he's taken a couple of them, but not this season. He hasn't.
Yeah, if he has experience, I mean, I guess I'll let one go because this is really the first time I've seen him back there. So, one mistake, I guess I'm not going to hold the world over his head or anything. But I don't know. It was a shitty play. It would have been worse if we would have lost or they would have gained a lot of momentum from it or something like that. But
yeah, Bryant does have in here that maybe it's because the Packers were down a corner. So I agree with there. He said if he's going out there at minimum, he probably needs to be told to fair catch it, being that it's a critical game and his first time back there. I agree. Just fair catch it or let it bounce. Literally anything but what happened.
Yeah, that was the only thing you couldn't do, and he did it. So
yeah. All right. So Simon has the secondary on the defense You guys wanna talk some Corey Ballantyne? Because I got a little.
Go ahead. You got some stuff. Go ahead.
I do. I got it right here.
Hey. Clamps.
Put the seatbelt on.
I don't want to hear shit about illegal contact either because he had his head around and he was looking at the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That would have been
the ball. That was good defense.
That would have been weak.
Yeah, that would have been a superstar call.
Yeah. And this one too, you can't really see it because it's off the screen, but Justin Jefferson pushes off on this one too.
Justin Jefferson pushes off? No way.
Yeah. And just a great job by Ballantyne to pull him out.
Yep.
Ballantyne played extremely well on Sunday, so credit to him. So Simon, take it away.
Yeah. How well? He went 3 catches for 9 targets for 33 yards, an interception, and a pass breakup.
Wow.
Yeah. Put the seatbelt on. Like he had a good game. Overall, the DBs 11 for 21, 94 yards, and the touchdown off the muff punt. I mean, what can you do about that? You know what's crazy is like this game could have been 41-3.
Easily could have. Yep, you're correct.
This game could have been so much worse than it was if the Packers
that fourth down could have succeeded.
Yeah, if Melton catches the ball on that 4th down and we don't muff the punt, this game could have been wildly out of control with how well the offense was moving down the field. And if Melton would have, and I think you put up a video of this, if he just sharpens his cut a little more on that out route, that probably would have been a touchdown. There was nobody within like 5 yards of him. That game could have been disgusting.
That was a great play call by LaFleur.
Yeah, it really was.
And that's what I said too with that play was that it's something that earlier in the season we talked about with guys like Musgrave and Reed, running their routes sharper instead of curling them.
So 30. They only had 32 yards after the catch total. 4 forced incompletions. So secondary just great game. Okay,
now I want to say this because I saw people saying that we can trade Jair and Stokes because we don't need them. Calm down. They played a good game in a moment where they had guys missing. The other thing that I don't want to hear about anymore is shut the fuck up about Rasul Douglas. He was traded like 6 fucking weeks ago. Move on.
Dude, I was getting so fucking annoyed, especially after the pick 6.
Yeah.
Everybody fucking I'm sorry for saying all the swear words. But like everybody crying all over freaking social media. I'm like, what are we doing? He's wearing a Bills jersey.
There were Packers people there, and I'm not gonna single them out but there were Packers content creators.
That's what I'm
giving
saying.
Like a play-by-play of the Bills defense.
I know that's what I'm saying, dude. It was annoying.
I like that. Just shut up. He's not on our team anymore. Let's focus on the guys that are, and they played well.
It's
in the absence of one guy being suspended, which why are we suspending him before our biggest game of the season? People just need to calm down.
Dude, if Jair Alexander comes out this week as a more laser-focused player, with as talented as he is, and he absolutely shuts down DJ Moore, then you know for a fact, and hearing his interview, we're going to talk about it in a little bit.
I was just going to talk about that.
Dude,
bring it up around the secondary.
Dude, he like literally sounds more serious. So it might be go time right now for Jair Alexander.
I loved his interview. He sounded very understanding of where the Packers came from. And it's just, I don't know, like all the people like crap. Dude, I saw so many Packers fans call him like a thug and like a piece of shit and stuff. I don't get it. Yeah, and I think that Jair really understands where the Packers are coming from as an organization and the expectations for him. Mm-hmm. And for him to basically follow up and be like, yeah, I definitely plan on being here next year. He's not getting traded. Plus his contract, there's no way they're trading him. There's just zero way. So if that's your hope, then sorry.
He's not getting traded. He's a dog. Okay. He is one of the main reasons, as Spofford was talking before, he is one of the main reasons that all defensive coordinator candidates are going to be licking their chops to come here. Because what is a couple things that you need for a good defense? Pass rush and a lockdown corner. Packers have both of those things.
Yeah.
And you know what? They have a couple of young corners who are developing very nicely. Darian brought it up in the comments. Carrington Valentine looks very good. He needs to control the emotions a little bit. He's a young guy, so I'll respect it.
Yep.
And obviously, we just showed a little highlight reel of Valentine holding his own against some of the NFL's best. So the Packers have a lot of pieces, man. Van Ness has been coming on strong. Kenny Clark. I mean, this defense really has the chance to be ridiculous, bro, with how much talent they have. Now, do they need a safety? Yes. And they need a slide Savage. They need to slide Savage over to strong safety. Let him play down closer to the box. Get a free safety that can roam. Because I feel like they're asking Savage to do stuff that he doesn't want to do. Right?
I don't know if Savage is going to be here next year.
Savage will be here. Savage will be here.
They're going to have to re-up his contract.
A one-year prove-it deal, but I wouldn't.
Maybe.
I don't think. Yeah.
He's a player I could see. I could see them not bringing back.
There's not going to be much of a market. He'll probably be pretty cheap.
Yeah, for sure.
And like, I know people are like really thinking about it, but like they are going to have to be cheap in some ways.
Oh yeah,
in some areas because we're all excited about this draft class right now, and we should be. Yep. But in like 3 years, when we have to sign fucking 15 players, that's going to suck.
Yeah.
I don't envy Goot that season. I'll tell you that right now.
I would much rather be in that situation though.
I mean, it's a blessing and a curse.
It really is.
Yep. So, yeah, and Adarian brought up another good point, too, especially if they hit on the third-round pick that they get from the Bills.
That's a great point.
Yeah. All right. So, Jake, how about the rush defense?
This is going to be real short and simple. The rush defense, 16 carries for 67 yards to 4.2-yard average. Chandler had 10 for 40. Madison had 3 for 17. He had the one run where he ran over Ballantyne. I will say that. That was a nice run by him. Mullins 1 for 6 and Hall 2 for 4. The run game was a non-factor because the Packers were punching him in the freaking mouth early and often, so they didn't really have a chance to establish the run. And you could tell that was bothering the Vikings because their offense, kind of like the Packers, is predicated on getting the run going, establishing that, and then playing off play action, right? That's kind of how all the NFC North teams are. And the Vikings were not able to get that done. The Packers did a tremendous job taking them out of their game plan.
Simon, how did the tackling and the defensive line do?
Yeah, tackling I thought was overall solid. PFF credited us with 10 missed tackles, but honestly, I can't think of anything that egregious.
Yeah, I mean, you brought up yards after catch already, which is
good. That was crazy.
I wonder about yards after carry. Do you have that in front of you?
Yards after the carry?
You mean after contact?
After contact? I could look it up in a second, but yeah, I can't think of anything really egregious or any huge missed tackles that led to big plays or anything like that. Even if they missed a tackle, the guy was right there to stop him.
That's where I was going with it. So the Vikings on carries had 47 yards after contact. My thing that I want to bring up with that is the fact that we can't remember any of the missed tackles because they didn't lead to giant plays tells me that the Packers were rallying to the ball really well.
Yes.
As for the D-line, I thought TJ Slayton was probably another guy that we could have had as underappreciated player this week. I thought he played a pretty damn solid game. Oh, what was that play where he beat a double team and tackled Chandler?
Dude.
Like the line of scrimmage, dude. That was a monster play. Kenny Clark had a stop and 6 pressures, so he was a factor all game. Devontae Wyatt
had 36 pressures. That's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, 36. Half of it was the outside edge guys, but Devontae Wyatt stopping 4 pressures. He had a sack and a hit. Colby Wooden had 2 pressures and a sack. Carl Brooks added a hit on the QB. I mean, the D-line just kind of ate
against what I would say is a pretty decent line. And they got Brian O'Neill back.
Yeah, I was waiting until we got to the pass rush or whatever, but Rashawn Gary Rashawn Gary had 8 pressures himself. Preston Smith whooped up on Darisaw all night.
Dude, he was kicking his ass.
Yeah.
All day.
I posted this in one of the groups where I was like, I understand that they didn't have Kirk Cousins, and that plays a major factor. Where the fuck was everyone else on their team? Darisaw got his ass whooped. Daniil Hunter was a non-factor.
Harrison Smith was a non-factor.
Justin Jefferson was a ghost most of the night.
Jordan Addison was a non-factor. KJ Osborne didn't have a single target.
So
he played 33 snaps, was not targeted.
When we're talking about injuries and stuff, losing your quarterback's usually a killer, but nobody else showed up.
Their offense put up 411 passing yards against Detroit the week before.
Yeah.
Is anybody going to argue that Detroit has a better defense than the Packers? Given that the people that wanted Joe Barry fired into the sun.
Oh, all I heard all week was that we were going to get destroyed. Our defense.
They're going to go nuts on our defense. Can't wait for the Packers to make a 4th-round rookie look like prime Aaron Rodgers.
Hall's going to have a career game.
Yeah, Cody said Vikings fans went from we're going to end your season to we want a better draft pick anyways.
Real quick.
Better draft the quarterback.
Yeah, that happened in probably the middle of the first quarter, I'd say.
Yeah. On there. All right, Jake, what are you thinking about the pass rush?
Man, it's a beautiful thing to see, man. Aside from Jordan Love absolutely just picking apart this defense, I think the pass rush strictly, the D-line and the linebackers won this game for the Green Bay Packers. Now, you could talk about missing 2 corners and not having the best safety group in the league, and our DBs are kind of banged up and, to be completely honest, one of the worst groups in the league talent-wise, right? But the pass rush, you couldn't tell. They were just always in Hall's face. The guy had no chance. I honestly started to feel bad for him a little bit. He looked so sad on the sidelines in the third quarter when he had his helmet on just standing there. I was like, man, that kid was in the locker room pregame.
Just makes you think of Friday.
Just freaking trying to dream of everything, and none of it happened. But sacks, we had 7. Van Ness, Wooden, Walker. It's going to be a mouthful, so pay attention. Van Ness, Wooden, Walker, Wyatt, McDuffie, Nixon, and Smith had a sack.
Okay, let's talk about this Wyatt and Nixon play. Okay. Because, again, I said this when we had Spofford on, and I'm going to say it again now. This does not save Joe Barry's job. So I'm going to say that, preface this again. However, we're going to watch this play, and then we're going to talk about it. Because, yes, obviously they bring the cornerback blitz, but that's not even the thing that I noticed the most about this play. Look at the setup here. 1, 2, 3 guys on the right side of the offensive line. They overloaded one side of the offensive line. I don't recall seeing this at any point in the season. So as far as Joe Barry goes, I understand still wanting him gone and asking the question, I'm fine giving Joe Barry credit. My question then becomes is why didn't we do this sooner? Because this is fantastic. I love this setup. They got 3 guys on one side, and they blitz the corner from the side. That works beautifully.
Yeah, he stood no chance. He had no idea what was – Mullins didn't understand what was happening. That play happened so fast for Mullins that it just – he was sacked before he even realized the coverage. He was done. Yikes. But then you go to hits on the quarterback. We had 6 of those. Preston Smith led the way with 2 of them. Walker and Enagbare, sorry, couldn't speak for a second. Wyatt and Brooks all had 1. And then you go to quarterback hurries. Sean Gary with 8. Clark with 6. Enagbare 2. Wyatt 2. Slayton 2. Van Ness 1. Wooden 1. Smith 1. I mean, everybody gets 1, I guess. Oprah Winfrey was at the game on the Packers sideline saying, "You get 1, and you get 1, and you get 1."
You get a pressure. You get a pressure.
The Packers pass rush was phenomenal. It just goes to show the things that we've been talking about all season long. You go back to the Lions game, right? What is the one thing that was common in both games? The team that won dominated the line of scrimmage, right? In the first game, the Lions dominated the line of scrimmage on both sides. Second game, the Packers did. In the Vikings game, the Vikings dominated the line of scrimmage. They kept Cousins very clean in that first game at Lambeau Field. And they kind of got after Jordan Love, right? And you go to this game. Who dominated the line of scrimmage? The Green Bay Packers did. The offensive line was perfect against all those blitzes that Simon brought up. And our pass rush was absolutely dominating their offensive line. You win the line of scrimmage, you usually win. That's called winning the point of attack. So when you're watching the draft, you're like, why did you draft the wide receiver in the first round? Well, probably because they can get a wide receiver that's better than him in the second round, and winning the line of scrimmage is kind of important.
Yep.
Just going to leave it at that.
Wouldn't be mad if the Packers drafted a tackle in the first round. I'll say that.
I wouldn't be mad about that either. I would actually be very happy.
Yeah,
it's not the
I'm
sexiest
fine
pick
with
in the world, but you know what? If number
Exactly.
10 is not getting hit, I'm good.
Yeah, absolutely. So Bryant's notes on the red zone defense. He said it's a great bounce back game by the defense, including the red zone. The Vikings were 1 for 3. The biggest stop came right out of halftime when the Vikings had the ball for 6 minutes and 11 seconds, and the Packers forced a turnover on downs. Had the Vikings scored, it could have given them momentum. After a QB change with a whole half to play, the one touchdown they did get happened because of the Toure fumble, a time when the game was essentially already over.
Cody just commented the Vikings should probably worry about their defensive picks lately. Cody, I don't know if you're still friends with Sammy McLeay, but he commented, he made a post about, the Vikings' lack of defensive picks that have been handed out. And I commented on there. I said, it's because you guys are too busy wasting your first rounders on wide receivers. Congratulations, you have some highlight reels. Your defense sucks.
Look at the Bengals.
Congratulations, you have some highlights. Joe Burrow is going to die. You're paying $500 million for your quarterback to die. Yikes.
Yep.
Not my team.
I will say I like Cam Bynum. I think he's got potential.
I think he's having a solid year.
That's actually who the post was about. He was the only player that they could name in the in the Cousins era that has turned out to be a good pick.
Yeah, you're probably okay for that, Cody. Jake, how about the third down defense?
Third down defense was phenomenal. Obviously, you take everything into a factor, right, when you talk about third down. And the lack of running game, excuse me, really had them behind the chains. And it's insane. This is actually insane. They went 3 for 10 on third downs. 3rd and 3 and shorter, they were 0 for 2. 3rd and 4 through 6, 0 for 3. That means that all of their third down pickups were on 3rd and 7 and longer. Yeah, their first one that they picked up was that long pass to Justin Jefferson, if you remember that play.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, I lied. That was the second one. The first one was to blanking on his name. Addison. Wasn't it Addison? Pretty sure it was Addison. The first one was. That was the one pass that Hall threw good, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, you're trying to ask about 3 plays over this entire game that beat the hell out of it.
Yeah, I think it was Addison was the first one, and Jefferson was the second one, but then the third one was just a really stupid long play, and we were just trying to get the hell out of town. And then they went 0 of 2 on 4th down. So, I mean, we just beat the hell out of them, dude. Point blank, period. 33-10 doesn't tell the full story.
Yeah. All right. So, on the coaching / time of possession part of the game, as far as Matt LaFleur goes, curious what your thoughts are on the 4th and 1. Just inside the 30-yard line, do you take the points or do you go for it?
I'm going for it.
I like going for it too, especially on the road when you're trying to, send a message and build momentum. And my 2 things with this play, 1, the play call was good. So for me, even though the play wasn't completed, the play call was set up well enough that it should have been completed or could have been completed.
Oh.
To me, it gives me confidence that plays can be picked up, that 4th down can be picked up in the future in a similar situation.
You know what my favorite part about it was? He kept the ball in Love's hands. He let Love decide what happened.
Absolutely.
That was the best part. He didn't just hand it off and okay, here, we'll just run the ball
to fall forward.
Right.
And then my other thing was on the broadcast, because the Vikings got a field goal after that, they're like, oh, it's a 10-point swing. It's a 10-point swing. No, it's not. It's not a 10-point swing because there's nothing that says the Vikings couldn't have gotten a field goal in their next possession if the Packers scored.
Yep.
True.
There was still 9 minutes left in the second quarter. So it's not like, the Vikings had this scoring chance before time expired, because then it would have been a 10-point swing.
Yep.
But there was still, like I said, like 8.5 or 9 minutes left. On the coaching, only 4 penalties for 32 yards.
Wow.
Beautiful. That
Perfect.
Is beautiful. Yeah, about as close as perfect as you can expect. Like I would never expect a team to have 0 penalties in a game. It's just not realistic.
No. There will be 1 holding call at least.
Right.
Or a pass interference or illegal hands. There'll be 1.
Yeah. So I will say, and I wish I would have asked Spofford his thoughts about this, but again, like I said, it's too late for Joe Barry to save his job, but this game makes the decision to keep him through the last 3 weeks of the season easier to justify. So shout out to his game plan. It worked very well. I put the touchdown that Minnesota scored, and Bryant said this in his notes as well with the red zone defense. More on the special teams than I put it on the defense because it wasn't the defense that let them get near the end zone.
Yep.
And then time of possession. Oh, man. Packers, 37 and a half minutes
Yeah,
to 22 and a half minutes.
that's par for the course.
Man, just one more just punch in the kidney of the dominance that the Packers put up.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about Jordan Love. I'm going to read Bryant's notes first. His notes say, my prediction has come true. This dude would already be the most prolific single-season passer in Chicago history. What another great performance, and it doesn't seem to matter who he has on the field over the last several weeks. He just looks so good. He's been a top 3 performing QB in the NFL over the past 7 games or so and has absolutely earned a hefty extension, and I could not agree more.
Yep.
All right. Simon, what are you feeling about Jordan Love?
Best game of the year? Question mark?
Keep setting it up because every time we say it, he does something better. So I like it.
I don't know. I feel, like you said, I think this is like 7 or 8 weeks in a row
right?
now. I talked about a lot about how the Vikings blitzed a lot. Nothing phased Love this game. He versus the blitz. Love was 18 to 25, 8 yards per attempt, and 2 touchdowns. I'll take that every day.
200 yards against blitzes.
Yeah.
And
of
both
what, 245, I think he had?
258, 248.
Yeah.
Something like that.
So that didn't work.
Yeah. And both of the drops that the Packers receivers were credited with came on the blitz. So he could have had even more. He could have been 20 of 25, 80% against the blitz without drops.
Since week 11, Love has been the most blitz quarterback in football, like I talked about last week. Out of 42 eligible quarterbacks, he ranks 13th in pressure rate, so good on the O-line. During that span, Love is completing 68.2% of his throws at 7.7 yards per attempt with 6 touchdowns and 1 interception.
I'll take that.
Yep.
Cody said we signed him to a 1-year deal on top of the option, so I see a new deal next year. Honestly, as soon as possible at this point.
Yeah.
Every time you wait another week, it's just costing you more.
Yeah.
Reggie said surprise player of the year, future Hall of Famer. Just give him the crown. I'll level with you on the first part of it. Surprise player of the year, I could absolutely see him in that category.
I like it.
Okay, Jake, what are you feeling about Jordan Love?
This guy is just, man. We got a third one in a row, man. It feels good. It really does. The pre-snap improvement throughout the season has been something just amazing.
Thank you.
He's using cadences to call stuff out a couple weeks ago. Now he's just strictly just reading it with motions and stuff like that. The fadeaway jumper type passes, the no feet on the ground type passes, the arm angles, the swag, the running tough. We've been seeing that all year long. He's not afraid to take contact or even dish it out, right? So I love this guy, and pun intended, dude, because he's going to be special. He's been special for us this year. He's made this year super, super fun. And I can't wait to hear about us sign him to another 5-6 year deal. And I don't give a shit about the money. They can sign him for whatever because he's going to bring a lot of money to town. And
Cody said love hosting 99 overall dinners.
Yeah, he's been hosting dinners is what Bo Melton has been saying. That's pretty cool, man. He's you want to talk about leaders, man. And Tyler, we've had this discussion plenty of times about different types of leaders. And Jordan Love is not a very vocal guy. At least he doesn't seem like it. But, behind the scenes, this is why we say that we don't know all the shit that's happening behind the scenes. Nobody knew that he was hosting dinners every week for the wide receivers, and he was inviting the defensive players. And, That's cool, man. Like,
Yeah.
Jordan Love is 100% a great leader. This team is obviously backing him up. We've seen it since week 1. So
We've seen it since the offseason when they were all saying, we love playing for this guy. We noticed a difference in his vocalness in the huddles.
Yeah.
These guys aren't just saying this stuff just to say it.
And you know what? This is the last thing I'll say before I hand it over to you, Tyler, is the one thing that you can notice from the last couple of years is the love of the game is back and the fun is back in Green Bay.
Yeah. Cody said it well. He says it says a lot about your character when others bring up what you do and not you bragging about it yourself.
Yep. That actually goes back to a great Chicago Bears quote from probably the greatest player in their history. When you're good, you'll tell them about it. When you're great, people will tell you about it.
I'm with it. Reggie asked what you think the contract will be. Honestly, I would be happy at this point if they could do 5 for $200.
I literally do not care. I'm not trying to like skip around your question. They could just say, we're going to sign Jordan Love to this. And I'm going to be like, sign me up, boy. I'm with it.
He's here. He's locked up.
We ride at dawn.
All right. So, Jake, I'm glad you brought up the pre-snap because we talked about it a little bit with one of the blitzes that the Vikings ran, and he read it perfectly, knew where to go with the ball before the play was even snapped.
Yep.
And changing things to make the plays have better chances of success. That's a big deal. I want to call it 2 misses that he had. He threw 2 deep balls, one on the first play of the game he overthrew, and then one there was a 3rd and 1 just under a minute left in the first half when they were maybe seeing if they could get back into field goal range. Preston Smith ended up making that a moot point. But my thing is that he's overthrowing passes that he used to underthrow. And I believe that he's going to find that sweet spot. He's already getting better at the deep ball. This week, I brought up his deep ball, 125.8 rating on 20-plus yard throws. So he's already getting better at it. And people earlier in the season were like, oh, he doesn't have the arm strength to throw a deep ball. He can't throw an accurate deep ball. Maybe just give him more than 8 games of experience before saying he can't be a franchise quarterback. Like we said, give him time. There's no substitution for game reps. We only said it 1,000 times. Not to mention talking about how young this team is all around. He doesn't have a Devontae Adams or a Greg Jennings, to coach him through, being with new pass catchers. It's all rookies and second-year guys. What's up, James? Talking about Jordan Love. Simon already brought up that he was fantastic under pressure. And here's my thing. All of his throws at any depth were out on average in 2.83 seconds or less. That tells me that he's being decisive.
Yeah.
So he's reading, throwing. He's just taking the first read that's open and available, and he's slinging it.
I think that tells me how much the O-line is giving him time to.
True. And I don't know how you have any possible complaints about him at this point.
Tyler, I said it this afternoon. If you don't know that Jordan Love's a guy, I seriously question your football IQ.
All of his wide receivers were wide open. 2 things.
So he's making the good decisions?
Yeah, right?
Okay.
Would you not want him to throw it to that guy just so that he throws into a tight window?
Oh, you're too wide open. No,
I can't do it. Yeah. Sorry.
No, I want you to throw to the guy that's covered so when it's incomplete, I can bitch about it on social media.
Be closer to the DB, please.
Yeah, right? Let him catch up.
I need to complain about the floor today.
Yeah, right? Yeah, so he can't keep his wide receivers open. Wide receivers can't get separation. But no, what it comes down to, one, it's good scheme. Matt LaFleur is a good play caller. Matt LaFleur is not going anywhere. That needs to be said again because people are still, he's losing the locker room.
Oh, God. Tired of seeing that shit, too.
Yeah, I agree. And then second of all, Jake and I talked about this a little bit when we broke down some of Jordan Love's highlights from last week is he's throwing with timing and anticipation. And not only that, if you watch, we highly recommend the QB School on YouTube. He'll show you the throws and break them down individually, every single one, and show you where he's throwing the ball to receivers so that they are being thrown open or thrown away from contact. That's a big deal. That's like a next level quarterback thing, is to throw a ball away where a guy has to reach back this way when there's a safety coming from that way who could level him. So he throws him in a way that it takes him away from contact. Stuff like that that's next level. So again, can't recommend the QB school enough. Hopefully future guest of the show, but we'll see. All right. Anything else you guys want to say? Jordan Love going into the Bears game. All right, I'm going to start with Bryant's notes on the offense. Bryant said for the Packers offense against the Bears defense, this is the Bears Super Bowl. So they're going to be fired up coming in to try to spoil our playoff chances. Running the ball is likely going to be very difficult. But like I said, going into the Vikings game, even if you aren't finding great success, you have to run the ball to keep them honest. You can pass on this team as they're giving up 29 touchdowns. However, Love better be on time and accurate with his passes because the Bears defense has a league-leading 22 interceptions.
Yeah.
We'll have to watch, but I have a feeling the Bears may be doing some gamesmanship with Jalen Johnson, so we'll see if his status changes. But if he doesn't go, that's a big loss for them, especially with Kyler Gordon also being added to the injury report. He said Montez Sweat has been really good for them, but their pass rush shouldn't be too huge of a threat if the Packers' O-line continues to play the way they have. He said the Bears have struggled against tight ends, which is very good for the Packers. Giving up 97 receptions for 781 yards and 7 touchdowns against them on the year. So if we have both Musgrave and Kraft, look for them to be highly involved.
Damn.
I'm just going to say, on the Packers offense, they are rolling. 33 points back-to-back weeks against two teams that have been playing decent defense.
True.
And do they have a third one in a row? That's my question. Do they have a third one in a row in them? Another 3-game stretch of great football like they went from the Chargers to Detroit to Kansas City.
Easily.
Simon, what are you looking for from the Packers offense against the Bears defense?
Yeah, so the players to kind of watch out for, Brian already mentioned Jalen Johnson. I've seen conflicting reports on whether or not he's going to play or not, but he's having one hell of a year. He's only allowing a 33.3 quarterback rating and only 195 yards in coverage.
Yeah.
TJ Edwards, ever since week 1, has been absolutely solid for them in the middle of the field. Over 100 tackles, 57 stops, 3 interceptions, and he's just super good in coverage. And then he mentioned Montez Sweat. He's had 8 sacks since coming over to the Bears, 36 pressures and a forced fumble. But I think what's going to work for the Packers this week, the Bears do a really good job kind of mudding up the middle of the field with their 2 linebackers. So they're going to have to hit a lot of vertical routes on the outside. This is a good week for Christian Watson and Dontavian Wicks to come back too.
Yep. And we mentioned already previously, potentially Luke Musgrave. So,
yep.
Jake, what are you looking for from the Packers offense?
So actually, I have a stat on Montez Sweat, and it's 6 sacks since the trade because he had 6.5 sacks with the Commanders, and he leads both teams in sacks this season. He'd be the first player in NFL history to lead 2 teams in sacks for an entire season. I thought that was an interesting stat. Not trying to give too much credit to the Bears, but Montez Sweat's been very good since he got over there. Jalen Johnson's obviously a really, really good player, but you talk about a number 1 corner. Usually the job of a number 1 corner is to take away an X-factor wide receiver. And as Tyler has pointed out the entire season, the Packers don't really have just one guy that they hyper-target. They kind of just spread the ball around to everybody, right? And for an offense that could get Christian Watson back, Romeo Doubs, whatever you want to call him, and Jaden Reed are tied for 8th in the NFL with 8 touchdowns. So you have both those things going for you. You can get a tight end back that can run 22 miles an hour. And then you also have a tight end that wants to run everybody over, including your strength and conditioning coach. And then also Aaron Jones, who looks fresh. This offense is absolutely on a roll. I know the Bears defense is playing better too, but we're going to be at Lambeau Field, okay? The Bears haven't beaten us since December 16th of 2018. Yeah. 9 straight W's. We're going for 10 straight W's.
5 years, dude. That's wild. That's like some AFC, NFC matchup numbers.
Yeah,
they're
dude.
in our division.
We play them twice a year, dude. We got to play them at their place every year, and they haven't beat us since 2018. That's terrible.
They thought this was their year. They thought this was their year. They're like, oh, we finally got Aaron Rodgers gone. And then it's just like, bam, 38 points.
I don't even remember that game either.
The first week, I remember it. I remember Aaron Jones going crazy.
No, the last time the Bears beat the Packers.
Oh,
I remember the Packers were trash.
Was that a Brett Hundley start?
Huh?
Was that a Brett Hundley start?
That's a good question.
Oh, I'm looking it up right now.
Oh, okay. Right.
No, that was a Rodgers start.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He went 25, 42, 274, and an interception.
Yeah, because that was the year where he hurt his leg week 1. We came back and won.
Yep.
And then he played the whole year hurt.
That's right.
I remember that now. Okay. Now you bring that up. But, you know, Packers offense, I mean, they're just getting better every week. You could tell in their rankings overall in the NFL as well. So Love is improving everybody. This offense, dude, the sky is the limit, seriously.
Yeah. Switching over to the defensive side of the ball, Bryant said, do whatever you need to do to make Fields beat you with his arm, in all caps.
I don't remember this,
Bears
dude.
have given up 45 sacks, so it's enticing to go after Fields, but they cannot let him run wild, so we need to hold contain. If we want to sack him, maybe bring some more safety, inside linebacker, and cornerback blitzes. Justin can make some great throws, but it's not nearly as consistent as he makes plays with his legs. This team needs to run the ball to be productive, be prepared to at least slow it down. If we give up 200 rushing yards like we have in previous weeks, we'll probably lose this game. Moore is a great receiver. Komet has been pretty good, and they will have to involve their running backs in the passing game, which have not been super productive. But aside from that, there isn't too much to be worried about. Their deep threat in Mooney is out. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to talk about this later on too. But I think with Campbell is off the injury report, which is very big.
Yep.
I do think that with a week of preparation that Eric Wilson will be better than he was at first when he was very first subbed in last week.
I agree.
He's an experienced player. So for me, looking at Eric Wilson now backing up Campbell and Quay, he's going to still play some snaps because obviously Campbell and Quay aren't both going to play 100%. Quay might, but I don't expect Campbell to play 100% of the snaps.
Yeah.
If Eric Wilson needs to play some snaps with a week of preparation, I think he'll be fine. And then my other thing, and this is going to come up more as we get through these segments, but Justin Fields, I believe, is playing for his job. I think if he plays well, the Bears will have to consider keeping him. I said this in the first time we played him. I want Justin Fields to play just well enough that the Bears commit to him long term. Because unless a lot of other things change on their roster and coaching staff, I still don't think he's the guy to win them a championship. Now, what I'll say on Fields the person, we have said this many times, and I will say it again. I love Justin Fields the person.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's a great person. So I would love to see him go to Atlanta or Pittsburgh or Vegas and succeed. I'd be happy for him. But I want to see him, if he's in Chicago, play just good enough where the Bears are like, we should probably give him another year. So, Simon, what are you looking for from the Packers defense?
DJ Moore. He's kind of their guy. I mean, Khalil Herbert's playing great too. He's had two 100-yard games last 2 weeks and over 5 yards per clip. DJ Moore is having the best season of his career, and he looks really good. I would say the weakness, kind of their right side of the offensive line. Yep. Lucas Patrick, Nate Davis, and Darnell Wright have been lackluster at best. Now, I like Darnell Wright a lot. I liked him coming out of the draft. He's still a rookie, and he's still kind of playing like a rookie. I'm looking for Clark and Gary to kind of feast on them all night. But Bryant kind of already said it out, is like you can't make mistakes as a pass rusher. Justin Fields has the wheels. We don't need another Danny DeVito game where he's just running up the middle for 10, 15 yards. So just being a disciplined pass rusher and just not getting too far up the field.
Yep, that's going to come up more. Jake, what are you looking for from the Packers defense?
Yeah, so the thing that's been consistent with the Bears offense since Justin Fields has gotten there is the running game has been good, right? And obviously that shows in their ranking as they're second in the NFL in rush average. But also the other thing that's been consistent is the passing offense has not been very good. And again, that shows right here. And people want to talk about the thing that's sad to me is we came into the season as Packers fans being like, all right, our expectations for the season is to find out if Jordan Love is the guy, right? Mm-hmm. I need to see some good plays, need to see some wild plays, and maybe lead us to some wins, be successful in area A, B, and C, right?
Improvement.
They're still doing that with Justin Fields in year 3.
Yeah.
I don't know if, like, you need me to, like, raise a red flag for you, but that's a red flag.
He's got, like, what, twice as many starts as Jordan Love?
He has, like, 40 total passing touchdowns, dude. And Jordan Love has 30 in his first starting year. So I went in and I took a deep dive into some numbers, right? And I'm going to compare Love to Fields right now because everybody wants to do that, right? So in terms of QBR, Jordan Love, 10th. I didn't add all the people who have, like, 6 starts and 3 starts because that's just not fair, okay? All the people who have double-digit starts, they're in. So in this criteria, Love is 10th. Justin Fields, 22nd. Not great. You go to completion percentage, okay? Love is 19th. Justin Fields, 29th. You want to complain a little bit more about Jordan Love's completion percentage with first and second year wide receivers? Yeah. Okay. You go to passer rating. This is where it gets really bad. Justin Fields, 22nd. So, I mean, he's a bottom third quarterback. Any way you cut it, right? Jordan Love, 11th. And then also you add in that Jordan Love is third in touchdowns. He has 30 passing touchdowns, right? Brock Purdy has 31. He's sitting this week, so he's obviously going to jump him. And then Dak Prescott has 32. Nobody's saying that he can't lead the NFL in passing touchdowns, dude. Think about that. First year Jordan Love's going to lead the NFL in passing touchdowns. What a storyline that nobody saw coming, right? So,
let me throw this out there too, that he's only had 1 interception in the last 7 weeks.
Yeah, since week 12, week 11.
It's week 11. Yep.
Yeah, week 11.
Since the Chargers game, he's only thrown 1 interception.
Yeah, so that's crazy. And I am going to bring up a little bit more about the running backs. So, just a little sneak peek for you.
All right. Go to X Factors. Bryant, his X Factor is Jair Alexander. If he can shut down DJ Moore, this will allow more attention to be paid to the running game.
True.
I completely agree with that. So for me, looking at X Factors, mine is health. This is I didn't get a chance to look at the exact snaps. I wanted to know the exact number of snaps that Watson, Dobbs, Reed, Wicks, Musgrave, Kraft, Heath, Melton. Did I say Wicks already?
No.
Wicks and Aaron Jones have played together healthy.
Probably as many fingers as you're holding up right now because Aaron Jones has been out for 6 weeks. And then you add in that Watson was out for probably 6 weeks. Too.
And the last 4.
Yeah, so 7 weeks. Yeah, probably 10 snaps as well.
That's all of the guys healthy for the offense or expected to be at least healthy for the offense this week.
Yeah.
In the final week of the season. This might be, overall the healthiest Packers skill players have been.
Oh.
So Love might have the full complement of weapons. So at this point, honestly, I care less about the Bears defense than I do about their offense.
That's fair.
Cody said Lucas Van Ness will be an X Factor. Jake, I'm going to go to you because I've been going to Simon first. So, Jake, who is your X Factor?
Jaden Reed. Get this man the ball. He is electric. It doesn't matter how you throw it to him. Down the middle, throw it to him on a crossing route. You hand the ball to him. The guy is electric, okay? He has 8 total touchdowns. Yeah, look at this. Look at this, dude. Look at this, dude. Bye. Yeah, terrible angle. You suck. Get off me.
What that is? That 44 is Natellis. That's the dude that took a ball away from him the first time they played.
Dog.
And now Jaden Reed is grittying on you.
Yeah, that was filthy. At the top of the route, that was filth.
Yeah.
That was filth, dude. I mean,
he just dragged that dude 5 yards for the touchdown.
Come on, dude. So Jaden Reed has 8 touchdowns, like I said before, tied for 8th in the NFL with his teammate Romeo Doubs. Reed has 8 total touchdowns or 10 total touchdowns from scrimmage. Only one other player in the NFL has at least 8 receiving touchdowns and 2 rushing touchdowns. Do you guys know who it is?
Debo Samuel.
CeeDee Lamb.
Oh.
But, another superstar wide receiver. So
yeah. He's probably going to be all pro for sure.
Oh, 100%. He's a monster, dude.
He's breaking like all of Dallas's records.
So, I mean, if you're in a category with CeeDee Lamb this year, you're pretty good.
As a rookie, is that good?
Yeah, I don't know. Let's go ask Facebook. You think that's a good idea?
No.
I don't know if I want Facebook's opinion, unless it's coming from our following, because I think we've built a good following. That said, Simon, who's your X factor?
Mine is tackling. I didn't name a person. I think
like
the way that the Bears have run their offense is a lot of bubble screens and just running back screens out of the backfield. So getting up on them and making the tackle on the first contact is going to be imperative for the win.
The Packers actually did really well on that in the Week 1 matchup. I know Keith Nixon and Darnell Savage, I believe, were the two that blew up screens before the Bears could even really get them set up. So I like tackling. That's a good one. Okay. Moving on to matchups. Brian's matchup that he's watching is the Packers offense versus the possible surge of health. Look at this guy. Taking the words right out of my mouth that I said before. Although it's great that everyone seems to have a chance to go, it could also cause some issues because the young guys haven't got their play together all that much this season. With the shiny toys possibly available, the Packers need to be careful not to be too cute with their game plan. I mean, it's a problem you want to have too many guys to try to get the ball to.
Yeah, the floor's got to be like
force the ball to guys, but the thing is we're looking at it as like, how are we going to get the ball to everybody? And the Bears are looking at it like, fuck, how are we going to cover everybody?
Man. Because every guy lines up at every spot.
I wanted to get out of this wide receiver 1 depth chart mentality. We can name 10 guys that we will comfortably get the ball to in any situation. The Bears only get to play 11 guys on defense. Obviously, all 10 pass catchers or skill players aren't going to be on the field at the same time, but play in, play out. It's not like, okay, it's, this guy is in on this play. We can ignore him. Every single player that the Packers put in on offense can be a threat on every single play, every single down, every single distance, every single situation. And the Bears have to account for all of it. You can't sleep on any of these guys at any point in the game.
True.
My matchup that I'm watching is the outside linebackers versus Fields. This is something that we've pretty much been tiptoeing around this whole time, and it's been a problem for the Packers at times this season. I will say they've gotten better at it, but it's guys like Rashawn Gary and Kingsley Enagbare keeping outside contain on the edges. So that's my matchup to watch. Jake, what is your matchup to watch?
So my matchup, usually you hear people say it's quarterback versus quarterback. I'm going running back versus running back. Aaron Jones versus Khalil Herbert. So the last 2 weeks, Jones has ran against Carolina, he ran for 21 for 127 and 0 touchdowns. Against Minnesota, he had 20 carries for 120 yards and 0 touchdowns. That's 41 carries for 247 yards, no touchdowns, but a 6-yard average. Khalil Herbert against Arizona had 20 carries for 112 and a touchdown. Against Atlanta last week, he had 18 carries for 124 and a touchdown. So that's 38 carries for 236 and 2 touchdowns. That's a 6.2-yard average. Now, the scary thing is when you look at their season averages, they both have 120 carries. Jones has 545 yards and 2 touchdowns. Khalil Herbert has 583 and 2 touchdowns. So their stats are basically identical. Yeah. Wow. Like they're mirroring each other. So whatever team gets their running back going, it's going to be a big thing and what's really going to decide this game.
Interesting. Simon, what's the matchup you're watching?
I got Jordan Love versus the Bears inside linebackers. There's a really sick play in Week 1 where Jordan Love almost throws this like no look pass to Jaden Reed on a 3rd and 10. And so a little more manipulation of the linebackers. And even though they're a little tough in the middle of the field, I still want to see them. I mean, Jordan Love's been really good at working the middle of the field this season.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm looking forward to.
I like it. Simon, I'll let you go first. What's your key to the game?
Staying disciplined in the pass rush.
It's pretty similar to mine. Mine is keep contained, bring Fields down the first time.
Yep. Good one.
Bryant's is protect the football. The Bears defense has lived on forcing turnovers. We can't let them win that battle. Jake, what is yours?
You're going to like this. I think you're both really going to like this. I was cooking with this one. Zach Tom holds up against Montez Sweat. Tom ranks 18th out of 69 tackles in pass rush win rate.
Nice.
Yeah, nice.
All right, Jake, what's the weather looking like?
The weather. All right. So in the morning, we're going to get some flurries. So you're going to see a bunch of posts about snowy at Lambeau Field. So
It's going to be gorgeous.
I got all this stuff from AccuWeather, so do not kill me. I am not the weatherman.
You are the weatherman.
But
you're our weatherman.
I'm the weatherman right now.
You're our weatherman.
But at the game time, it's going to be 36 degrees. Real field will be 29 degrees. Winds will be west-northwest at 8 miles per hour. So, honestly, for this time of the year, that's pretty mild. I won't lie.
That's a good day.
Yeah. It's pretty chill. I mean,
I remember being at the Ice Bowl, and it was so cold.
Oh, you were there too? I was there too.
I was there, yeah.
Oh,
I went to the game.
Were you there?
No, I just walked outside.
Oh, okay. I thought everybody was there.
What kind of guy looked like you?
It's a solid negative 15 outside right now.
Right.
Oh, so
No,
you
I'm
can
being
just walk
serious.
outside and know what it was like when we were there.
Yeah. I just use my imagination.
Yeah, I mean, a 70,000 seat stadium, and there was 150,000 people there. It's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everybody's dads. Everybody and their dad was there.
Okay.
And they were all the ones that gave the ride to the Packers players because their cars didn't start. So I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah,
I can't believe it. I like when we do this, dude. That's fun for me.
Yeah, we get the joke about everybody saying that they were at the Ice Bowl.
Yeah, that's good.
Going from the head, Bryant's score actually mirrors Mike Spofford's 24-20. I have Packers 28-20.
Ooh.
Simon, what's your score prediction from the head?
28-23 Packers.
All right. I have another 30-point outing for the boys. 31-21 Green Bay, baby.
I like it. From the heart, Bryant has 27-17. From the heart, I'm letting it fly. 33-16.
It's pretty close to what I got. I got
Nice.
31-17.
Nice.
I have.
All right, Jake, tell us that you're dropping a 40 bomb.
I really,
God,
dude.
nice.
I really wanted to just say fuck it and go crazy. I really did. But I was like, I'm going to try to be a little realistic. So I just have us doubling them up 34-17.
You can see it.
I wanted to say 42. I really did. Believe me. But I just
I mean,
couldn't.
we were close week one. That obviously included a defensive touchdown, but that is what it is.
Sure.
I'll take one of those too.
I mean, yeah. All right. So our last Simon says for the season,
Dang.
potentially, for the regular season at least.
True.
Our bowl predictions for the game. Offense, Bryant, whatever Fields' passing yards and touchdowns are, Love doubles them.
He's wild. for
Said
that,
passing touchdowns and running. Wait, what?
bro. Passing yards and whatever his passing stats are, like yards and touchdowns, he says Love will double that.
No.
Dude,
I mean,
he's wild
okay.
for that.
Yeah, that's a little much.
Wild.
Fields has been playing well the last few games.
Imagine he throws for 250. You're telling me you think Love's gonna throw for 500 yards, dude?
No,
he doesn't think Love. He doesn't think he's throwing for 250.
I don't think either. Last week he threw for 268. He would have to have a game where he's like running the ball wild.
Yeah.
I don't think the yards. I can see the touchdowns though.
I can see touchdowns.
I can
Yeah, I can
see
see
one
the
and a half.
touchdowns.
What if we say 1.5 times his yards and 2 times his touchdowns?
Yeah, I can see that.
Settle
Like
down
if
a
he
lot.
has
Yeah,
if he has
I'm old,
210
man.
passing yards and Love has 315.
Yeah, I could see that. I'd be down for 300 game.
All right. Mine on offense is 4 passing touchdowns for Jordan Love. His first week of 4 passing touchdowns. Last week he had 3 in a rushing.
That's wild because mine is Jordan Love has 5 total touchdowns.
I'm here for it. Let's do it. He could have last week. He could have had the 4-1.
Yeah,
He could have.
yeah, he could have.
All right, Jake. What about you on offense?
All right. No Green Bay Packer has ever run for 120 yards in 3 straight games.
Oh,
Aaron Jones is going to break the streak.
give me that.
Give me that. That's
give
what
me
I'm
that.
saying. Make it Packers history. I like it.
Give me that.
All right. Defense. Bryant has Jair comes back with a vengeance and secures a pick 6 to seal the game.
That'd be sick. As much as I mean, I'd love that. Okay,
Lambeau
hold on to it.
if he told me you got a pick 6, I'm for it. But to seal the game, that'd be wild.
Lambeau would go.
If he's just talking like fourth quarter and we're up by like 3 touchdowns, would you consider that game
I would
sealing?
say if it's like a dagger.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Like if we're up,
Even
like
if
they
it
get
puts us up
desperate?
3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, that's a dagger, dude. Like if
Yeah.
we're up 2 scores and then we
And
get a
that's
pick
the
6,
third one?
that's a dagger.
Yeah.
or
Okay.
even
Yeah.
Even if we're up like even say we're up 16 and it's a 2-score game.
Yeah.
I would take that.
Or if we're up 10 and he gets one that makes it a 17-point game.
I want
and
Jair
that'd
to
be
be good
good.
so bad.
Bruh. Lambeau would be going nuts if he did that shit, dude.
Okay. Mine for the defense is Justin Fields has 3 turnovers.
So close to mine.
I could see that.
He's
have 4
fumble
turnovers?
prone. I mean, it's
Yeah, he is.
Oh, you bastard. Stop talking. Stop talking.
Justin
okay,
Fields
3
has
turnovers.
3 fumbles. Is that yours?
No, I have 4 turnovers. 3 of them are
Dang.
fumbled.
Oh,
Damn.
okay.
Preston Smith is getting 1, so we know that.
Yeah, you're right.
Dog.
And I really think Kenny Clark's gonna have a big game, dude. He's been playing some really good football the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
You can't double him and you can't double Gary. So you basically have to chip Gary every play and double Kenny Clark, right? Well, Devontae Wyatt's a great pass rusher.
Yeah,
talk
Devontae
about
Wyatt's
this
been
either.
kind of underrated.
He
pass
is.
rusher
He
for
has
us.
been.
We didn't talk about this either. You can't block Quay Walker with running backs anymore either.
Oh, that was sick move by him.
Oh,
I forgot about that play.
bro, he's
Bro,
been balling the last couple of weeks.
You see, he got his ass ran over too after Quay kind of swiped him. Look at you. Just...
Eric Wilson just
Yeah.
runs into him. Man,
Yeah, what a great play.
yeah.
Man, great job by Quay there to put the hand up.
I was
Stay
just
disciplined,
thinking
and
that
then-
too.
Yep.
Man, what a play. So, I mean, it's possible. Fields definitely is fumble prone. He's turnover prone, but
Yep.
I know this. It's going to be crazy at Lambeau, and Justin Fields is going to feel like an idiot after talking. Also, Jaquan Brisker, can this guy shut up?
Didn't he talk shit week 1 too?
Dude,
Yep.
he talks
Yeah,
shit, and then somebody just brought up the quote that he said after
saw
the
that.
game of week 1. Did you see that?
I've
oh,
been thinking
yeah.
about DJ Moore's quote.
He said, they'll get theirs. Yeah, we will. We'll score another 30 points. We'll beat you again. And then you can go back to Chicago where you have all this stuff to do. And you can enjoy your offseason early like you always do. So congratulations on having a lot of shit to do in the offseason. Because you know what? You're not playing playoff football, you bum.
I think my favorite part about like Justin Fields saying there's not a lot to do in Green Bay is everyone's acting like he's the first person that said that.
Right?
And you know what?
Whoa,
I was thinking
how
about- I was thinking
original
about this.
thought.
I was thinking about this. There's plenty of stuff for normal people to
There
do.
it is.
There's plenty of stuff. We're normal people. So for him to say they're going to be loud because there's not much stuff to do in Green Bay, there's plenty of stuff for us to do. There's not a lot of stuff for people who have stupid amounts of money like you for you to do. That's why you're kind of people.
I mean,
with
there is in
your
the
kind of
offseason
bag.
when he's getting all of his, his vacation time in early, but
Right. But like, don't tell me you're spending the entire offseason in Chicago freezing your balls off in -13 because I don't want to hear it. You're not. You're traveling. You're going to go to someplace warm. You're going to go to a beach, Miami, California, Mexico. I don't know where you're going. But
you know what we should do? When this game's over, if the Packers win, because I will give the disclaimer, if the Packers lose, it's not like some terrible choke job or like, oh my God, how could this happen? The Packers should have won this game. Like, the Packers are exactly where we thought they'd be.
Yep.
We all said in the preseason somewhere between 7-10 and 10-7. And if they play their cards right, they could have a chance at the playoffs.
Yep.
They are exactly where we thought they'd be. If they win and they're in, great. If they lose and they're out, we wouldn't be super shocked. Obviously, coming down to the last game of the season, it's set up for some drama. But that said, if the Packers win, we should go back to the beginning of the season when people were sharing the pictures of Justin Fields, like all working out and all his ripped and pictures and stuff like that. And they were showing Jordan Love when they were all like hanging out on the boat and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, this is our quarterback and this is your quarterback. And be like, this is your quarterback. These are his stats. This is our quarterback. These are his stats.
That's good. That's good.
All right. So thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us all evening. And thanks again to Mike Spofford for jumping on with us. And again, we're just going to shameless plug for ourselves, but Jake and I are going to the Senior Bowl. We are doing a virtual raffle. You can send the show page a message if you're interested in getting in on a 50-50 raffle to help us fund our trip for the Senior Bowl. It's going to help us with our draft prep and hopefully help us make some connections that can help us do more things with the show so that someday in the future we can do this all day, every day, and have this be our main job. That's our goal. So again, if you're willing to do that, send the show page a message. We'll get you some ticket numbers, and we're going to announce that on January 24th. Other than that, go Pack Go, and we will talk to you guys soon.